I heard you talking to another. I'm not sure if he's an inquirer or whatever earlier about like authority in scripture and sola scriptura, etc. I'm not sure if I missed this, but by what standard do you guys take certain teachings of church fathers or saints? Is it based on majority, certain time frame, and then
No,
like what is that criteria?
it's not
Like I know
based
the
on
ecumenical
majority.
councils, like you know what I mean, but
Think about it this way: the Supreme Court, you have 9 judges on the Supreme Court, right? The way
sure.
they make decisions is not by a democratic process and a majority vote. It's through debate and through scrutiny, and
Hmm.
that's the same way that a council works. When it comes to individual fathers, we take the patristic consensus, which is why councils are so important, because what's the best way to find the consensus of the fathers? So, well, we have 300 something bishops at Nicaea 1, have
Right.
hundreds of bishops at these councils. That's why they're so important. So the things that the fathers all agree on, baptismal regeneration, that the Eucharist is the body and blood of Christ, that
Sure.
how, if you do not have the church as your mother, how can you have God as your father, right? These are things that they agree on. Nobody disagrees on these things.
No, I'm not saying that. I was more saying like on not completely, and maybe these things aren't as important, but things that aren't like mainstay issues, but
Mm.
like things that you should be thinking of. Like for example, like I've heard stuff on toll houses and stuff, and I've looked into stuff like that. Not saying you have to go into that right now, but just overarching, like how would you kind of pick that out?
So all the saints are venerated equally, except for the Theotokos, because she is the mother of God and the Queen of Heaven, so she has a little more.
Hmm.
A little more. She has hyperdulia. We offer dulia to all the other saints. However, intellectually, there are some standouts among the saints, right? So, for example, the theology laid out in St. Maximus's disputation with Pyrrhus, right? So that theology is held to a slightly higher level than the opinion of, I don't know, like St. Augustine or something, right?
Sure.
So there are some saints that are known for certain things. Like, for
Like
example, there are
Saint Cyril
titles
or
like,
something.
yeah, exactly, where their theology was adopted by a council and they laid out the theology of it. So their theology would be held in a slightly higher regard. And there are special titles with all the saints. For example, there's a title equal to the apostles, or they say like Saint Constantine equal to the apostles, referring to the Emperor Constantine. Does that mean that he's actually equal to the apostles in
Of course not.
authority
Yeah.
and doctrine? No. It's referring to like spreading the gospel in a missionary sense, right? Like
Mm.
spreading the gospel out there. And there's some Russian saints that also have that title equal to the apostles. So like each saint, although we honor them equally, there are some certain things that they are recognized for. So that's why like Saint Simeon the New Theologian, Saint Gregory the Theologian, they have the title theologian because we think they really represent the unity between mystical and intellectual in the church. And in that sense, you have like the fathers that really contributed to the theology exposited at the councils. And in that sense,
Sure.
on the intellectual side, they might be held in a bit higher regard than others.
So they're held in a higher regard in terms of especially things that are in terms of things that are, I guess, related to or very
And the
closely
doctrines that
related
were
to things.
adopted by the councils,
Right,
right?
right,
So it's
right.
like
So
not
like,
everything
yeah,
that St.
right. Not
Maximus wrote
obviously not
is
everything
equal
the
to the
saints say.
six.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, cool. I just had one more question
sure.
about you said something about a system like the canon, Protestant canon. You take out the canon, they then appeal to their own tradition because you have to appeal to some sort of tradition. You can't just appeal to whatever.
Or
You said,
gnosis, special knowledge.
yeah, there you there
Yeah,
you go,
that's their
special
two
knowledge.
options. Yeah.
Um, but I was more confused about could you expand on the multiple canons within different like Eastern Orthodoxy? I'm not sure if Ethiopian Orthodoxy. How can you expand on that not being a system destroyer? Because I'll just explain it. Like to me, like if there, I'm not saying there is, but if there was something in a different canon that went against what you're saying, then it would be a system destroyer, right?
And then we would have a council about it and we would figure it out.
Okay, that's fair.
That's why if we have disputes, and then we have councils about them and we come to a decision and the decision is received by the church, then that means the system is working properly. So, for example, we have like a bunch of schisms in the first century that lasted for 40 years there, 50 years there, 60 years there. It's not a system level destroyer for us because the system is meant to take a little bit, to have a little bit of give.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if there
Okay.
is somebody who has some like really abstruse canon, some canonical jurisdiction out there, then their bishop would be taken to task by the synod, and we would figure it out. But so far, the bishops have not seen, if the Georgian Patriarchate has 4 Maccabees, they haven't seen this as something worth having a council over.
Okay. Yeah, I guess coming from my framework as a Protestant, now inquiring into Orthodoxy, you tend to look at Scripture as in like, yeah. But I see what you're saying.
Yes, you
Okay.
have Protestant eyes. This is why I think for me, like I can't emphasize this enough, developing a proper phronema with the fathers.
Phronema? I'm sorry?
Yes. So phronema is a Greek term. It refers to like the filter through which you see the world. It's like the lens
Okay.
through
Your
which you see
worldview,
the
yeah.
world. Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So you have to develop the phronema of the fathers of the church.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then you'll see something like St. Simeon, the new theologian, says Christ is a sacrifice or something. And then you're like, whoa, this is penal substitutionary atonement. And then you're like, no, he's referring to the Passover, like Christ is the Passover lamb.
No, I've really never had any issue with like the exact way that, this is exactly penal substitute. Like, I don't care about that. But
yeah.
all right, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.